70 years of spending. That's what the median careful retiree dies still holding. Money earned, guarded, and never once lived. Meet Marta, 47. She's kept the same spreadsheet since she was 25. Last Tuesday, the number at the bottom crossed 1 million euros. She hasn't told anyone. She hasn't quit. She's opened the resignation email 11 times. And closed it 11 times. Marta's problem isn't money anymore. Her problem is that after 22 years of pressing save, she cannot make herself press spend. It's a strange failure to warn people about. Too much money. But stay with me. The data says it's the common one. And statistically, her problem is your future problem. Today, the data, the real cost in healthy years, and the plan that fixes it. Start with the data, because Marta is not an edge case. 1 in 3 retirees reaches their mid-80s with every cent still there. A study published this year followed retirees for over 20 years. Take the ones who retired with $500,000 or more. 6 in 10 of them still held at least 80% of it a full decade in, and 45% had more than they started with. 10 years into what was supposed to be spending season. Even among modest savers, 1 in 3 still had everything after 20 years. Economists call it the retirement savings puzzle. The 4% rule shows the same picture from the other side. Historically, over 90% following it end 30 years richer than they began. The median retiree finishes with nearly 2.8 times the starting portfolio. 1 in 6 ends above 5 times. A €1 million retiree is, historically, as likely to finish below 1 million as above 6 million. The rule is brilliant at preventing ruin, but nothing in it, nothing, protects you from never actually living on the money. One researcher, looking at retirees still at 100% in their 80s, put it simply, switching off the habit is not a comfortable feeling. Why? Look at Marta's 22 years of reps. Salary in, transfer out, log the balance. Repeat, 264 months straight. Somewhere along the way, I save became I am a saver. Spending the pile now feels like betraying the person who built it. The balance is also her scoreboard. The high score she's watched climb for 2 decades. Spending makes the number go down. And behavioral economists find losses hurt roughly twice as much as equal gains feel good. Every withdrawal reads as a loss. Add the question with no answer, how long will I live? And the brain defaults to, assume forever, spend nothing. Frugality has inertia too. The price-comparing, restaurant-skipping habits that built the million never received the memo that they've won. Whatever's left, the someday fallacy covers. The someday trip, the someday sabbatical. Someday is procrastination wearing a responsible outfit. Her bank's retirement calculator has a button for Save More. There is no button for You've Saved Enough. And notice, almost everyone advising her earns fees on assets. Nobody in the system gets paid when Marta finally spends. None of this is stupidity, it's overlearned caution, so the default quietly wins, and the default is called 1 more year. Here's what that default actually costs. Money is stored life energy, a claim on future experiences. And experiences need a healthy body to cash them. The World Health Organization tracks healthy life expectancy, globally about 63.5 years, against a total life expectancy near 73. Meaning roughly the last 10 years of an average life are lived in poor health. 10 years, on average, where money can still buy comfort, but no longer buys adventure. Even the healthiest countries on Earth, Singapore, Japan, top out around 73 healthy years. Planners split old age into go-go years, slow-go years, and no-go years. The names are cute, the implication isn't. Spending data agrees. Real retiree spending falls about 1% a year, bottoming out near 84, roughly a quarter below where it started. Watch any tour bus in a beautiful city, enormous money on board, an energy budget of 2 museums a day, maximum. Marta's dad retired at 67 with plans for Portugal. The trip kept moving 1 year out. It's still on the fridge. Now, Marta's math. 1 million euros at a 4% withdrawal rate, 40,000 a year, the amount the rule has historically supported. She's 47. If her healthy active years run to around 75, she's holding roughly 28 good ones. 1 more year means saving, say, another 60,000. At 4%, that's 2,400 euros of extra annual spending. The price, one of her 28 good years. Nearly 4% of her remaining healthy life. Buying money, she'll probably never touch. And 1 more year is never won. The number feels safer at every step, and never, ever safe enough. 1 more years, and almost a fifth of her healthy runway is gone. Insurance against a risk, the data says rarely arrives, because run the median path instead. Retire now, follow the rule, and she finishes with 2.8 million. At 40,000 a year, that's 70 years of spending. earned, stored, never lived. That was the number in the cold open. That's the real bill for oversaving, not a missed return, missed mornings, missed trips, missed decades with people she loves. So Marta's question has to flip, not how do I make sure I never run out, but how do I make sure I use it? A book called Die with Zero by investor Bill Perkins states the extreme version, aim to spend it all before you go. She doesn't have to take it literally. The useful core, her job is no longer maximizing money. It's converting money into a life. Perkins' best idea is the memory dividend. An experience at 47 pays out in memories for 40 years. At 87 it can't. Experiences expire in seasons. Backpacking has one. Skiing has one. Hiking with your kids on your shoulders has a very short one. Money never expires. That asymmetry decides the order. The question stops being, can I afford it, and becomes, which decade does this belong to? Her list wrote itself. The coast-to-coast hike, a summer with her nieces, learning to sail. Every item had a decade attached. So here's the 4-part plan she wrote. None of it reckless. 1. A spending floor, not just a ceiling. A minimum she must spend on living each year, where underspending counts as failure too. 2. A ratchet rule, tested against market history. If the portfolio climbs 50% above its start, spending rises 10%. Written rules like that hand the anxious saver brain permission, not vibes, a trigger, a number, a decision made in advance. 3. Front-load the go-go years. Budget deliberately bigger for travel and adventure in the first decade, because spending falls on its own later. 4. Give while living. If loved ones get this money anyway, give some now, when it changes lives and she gets to watch. A 30-year-old drowning in rent needs $50,000 more than a 60-year-old with a paid-off house needs $500,000. One more note for Marta, and for viewers in Norway and much of Europe. A state pension already guarantees the no-go years, so her private million doesn't need to survive to 95 alone. Its real job is funding the go-go years. That's permission too. Last Tuesday plus 1 week, Marta reads the plan twice, opens the resignation email a 12th time, and finally presses send. To be clear, none of this cancels the first half of the journey. If you're broke today, saving hard is still the entire game. But the finish line is real, and oversaving isn't a rich person problem, it's a saver problem. And you're training to become one. The numbers to remember. 1 in 3 never touch the pile. The median retiree nearly triples it. Health, not money, is the scarce asset. So build your number, but decide in advance what the number is for. Because the goal was never a balance you refresh until you die. The goal was a life where work is optional, and actually lived. If this reframed your finish line, the rest of this channel does the math on getting there. See you in the next one.